Once again, you already know what it is and you already know where you have reached. It is my honor and privilege to be with you guys once again for the first time in a little while, man. Still on the mend, still healing up, but I'm definitely happy to be with you for the newest edition, episode 44 of the show that I like to call HUBBanomics, man. We are in the building for another big time episode. And man, oh man, do I have a whole lot to say tonight, man. We're going to talk about WWE's most recent Netflix, um, I guess you could say Netflix presentation entitled Unreal. Season 2 just dropped this past Tuesday. And needless to say, there's a lot to talk about. Real fired up to be with you guys tonight, man. Big shout out to everybody who checks me and Conrad out on our show, Clash of the Podcast, that takes place each and every Monday night, 6:05 Eastern Standard Time on our Everything Pro Wrestling channel. Right now, you are on the Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, HW Weekly channel. If you have yet to subscribe, please do so. Appreciate the love. And if you are here for the first time, I appreciate you. Like I said, the chat is in full effect. I'm in full effect, man. Before we drop the intro, I want to make sure that we acknowledge the one and only great that is Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It is still, I call it Dr. Martin Luther King Week. We celebrated Dr. King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. earlier this week as we commemorated his birthday and his nationally recognized holiday this past Monday. I would be remiss if I did not open up the show talking about this true icon of civil rights and humanity. The truth of the matter is, it goes far beyond civil rights. Obviously, civil rights is something that's near and dear to my heart as a Black man. However, the humanity of this man, that he wanted everybody to be on the same page, to love each other regardless of skin tone, regardless of color, regardless of creed. It is truly, an honor to honor him on today. People like him and Malcolm X are truly heroes of mine. And obviously, we pay respect and homage to the late, great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So without any further ado, man, we're ready to rock and roll. We're going to drop the intro, man, and we're going to get this thing started. We're going to talk about WWE Unreal, and we're going to have some fun tonight, man. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Let's do it. Certainly hope you're feeling the vibe, man. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is, man. A little vibe on that intro, man, for HW Weekly here tonight, man. Ready to rock and roll on a Friday night. Let's get right into it, man. The chat's in the building, man. Big shout out to Easy E. I see you, Dark Elite Eric. Make sure you check him out. One and only Clown, 13Z4 Tweezy in the building. I appreciate you being here tonight. He says, good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate you, man. The one and only Sir Quills in the building. He says, what's going on, Hubs? Your boy Sir Quills is here again to enjoy yet another dope HUBBanomics. The WWE Unreal edition of HUBBanomics, because I'm looking forward to you ripping this to shreds, bro. Hashtag HWW. How do you know I'm going to rip it to shreds? Maybe I loved it. My boy Quills knows me very well. Dope edition of HUBBanomics. No, most definitely. M. Leezy Fo Sheezy says, hello, good evening, everyone. Hope you all had a good Friday. And he also gives us some words of wisdom. Everybody on the East Coast gearing up for this big storm, this big snowstorm that's on the horizon, man. Get ready to rock and roll with that, man. Definitely going to be something we have to pay attention to. Sunday night going into Monday is what I'm hearing. Make sure everybody on the East Coast, my area, is prepared for that, man. If you go on grocery shopping, go tonight, go tomorrow morning. Don't be outside. You know what I'm saying? Actually, my church has already canceled service for Sunday. That's how serious it is. So, and I don't even think the snow is going to be in full effect until Sunday night going into Monday. So let's be mindful of that. Big shout out to M. Leezy for keeping us keeping us in the loop for that. And obviously, Clown showing some love right back to Matt and vice versa. He's saying I'm fully stocked, don't need to do anything until Tuesday. I can dig that, brother. I can dig that. Smart man. Smart man. Miracle in the building. I'm searching for a miracle. Believe the impossible in the building. What's going on, everyone? I'm here from Canada, telling everyone to stay warm. Appreciate you, man. Old Canada, my home and native land. Appreciate you, man. The one and only, I think that's Jocelyn. Is that Jocelyn in the building? 81742. If I'm wrong, please forgive me, but I believe that's Jocelyn in the building. Talking about William Cheer. Appreciate you so much. Dark Elite Eric, once again, saying what it do. Appreciate you, my guy. Joe Compton. Joe Compton in the building. What's up, man? Appreciate you being here. Appreciate you. Appreciate you as well, man. Appreciate you, brother from another mother. No question about that. Nothing but love, man. Appreciate you for sure. Sir Quill's saying, very well spoken about MLK Hubs as the honorable man you are yourself, bro. I'm trying, man. God bless you, Quills. You're a good guy yourself, and I appreciate you very much, man. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Just got in standing an hour in line for 2 items. Must be at the supermarket. Yes, I definitely understand what you're talking about. Big shout out to Dark Elite Eric again while talking about the what we're going to be talking about tonight on this Unreal edition of HUBBanomics. He said, I just saw the teaser and they all came out looking like you know what's Triple H, K Quick, and the Road Doggy Dog. Oh man, I'm gonna get into that and then some, my friend. Big shout out to Clown once again. Positive thoughts and prayers to you guys. I'll just sit here and chill in my 7-degree sunny SoCal. Yo, you're living a dream right now, man. Yes, it is Jocelyn in the building. Appreciate you. Need you to get on my desktop and change the name. Yes, please handle that because I don't want to ever miss you, Jocelyn. I appreciate you being here, my sister. Very much appreciated. Emily she says, man, Unreal Season 2, weird face, surprise face, rolling her eyes faces. There's things I like, but it shows the clowns they have running the WWE creative, and they don't deserve Chris Parks. That's a fact. That's part of what I'm going to be talking about. As a matter of fact, that's a really good way to start off tonight's show. Let's get right into this, man. WWE Unreal. Documentary came out previously. The previous season 1 talked about the rise to the world title from Jey Uso, talked about the back and forth creative direction that brought John Cena to becoming a heel at Elimination Chamber last March, excuse me. Many other storylines, talking about Cody Rhodes, whatever. This one, though, I actually appreciated season 1. Season 1 did not bother me. I thought it was a bit much. I didn't like seeing CM Punk and Triple H hugging each other every 5 minutes. It was kind of like making me throw up a little bit. But at the end of the day, there was some moderately poignant things that were talked about during the documentary in season 1. There were some things that were talked about in season 2 that weren't bad as well. I think I echo M. Leezy's perspective on that as well, because there are some things that were talked about that were not that bad. Let's get the good out of the way, because I have a whole lot to say about the bad. And I want to get you guys' opinion on whether or not you agree or disagree with me on my stance on some certain things. The first and foremost, I want to say that I definitely have a lot of love and appreciation for the Io Sky, Rhea Ripley breakdown. They talked to Io, they talked to Rhea Ripley about their kind of climactic match that took place at Evolution. I still say Evolution 2025 is the best pay-per-view WWE produced in 2025. And this was the main event. And they went behind the scenes. They talked about how these two came together. It all started back at WrestleMania, or kind of got really going in WrestleMania with the inclusion of Bianca Belair. It was a tremendous rivalry, continued to be a tremendous rivalry. We all know in the current landscape they are the WWE Tag Team Champions, but this was a pretty epic rivalry. One thing that definitely stood out to me and made me feel really good was talking about Naomi as well. Naomi climbing to the ranks of being Miss Money in the Bank and the new women's champion. Obviously, we know that she's currently out due to her pregnancy, but she was tremendous. They talked to her in this documentary. She talked about her life with Jimmy. Jimmy Uso, her husband, talked about her life as a wife and also as a competitor. I don't think they really touched on the pregnancy. I believe that came around a little bit later. Season 3 is coming out, so I'm sure they'll talk about that in the next season coming this summer. But during this particular episode, or this particular group of episodes, they talk about how Naomi was, a baby face and went away for a little while. They talked about how Naomi and Sasha Banks left the company. They were being a little coy about it. Naomi and her partner, like, it was kind of petty, right? But they talked about how Sasha Banks and Naomi left the company. Obviously, Naomi went out and achieved some personal things at TNA, becoming the TNA Knockouts champion, returned at Royal Rumble, and has had a pretty good career since, and then really turned the corner when she decided to turn heel. It was a really good idea for her, and it led her to miss Money in the Bank as well as the WWE World Women's Championship. So you cannot argue with that. I enjoyed the talk about Lyra Valkyria. I like how they talked about how she and Becky Lynch had a history from back in their days in Ireland. Lyra Valkyria talked about how Becky Lynch was her idol coming up in the professional wrestling ranks. We obviously see by this picture that she is the first ever Intercontinental Women's Champion. I think she carried that belt relatively well. One thing that I did not know is that she was very disappointed in her match with Bayley and Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. Felt that match fell short, felt that match was not up to par, felt like she was crying on camera talking about how she could have done better. I don't really know why she felt that way, but I think that them talking about Lyra Valkyria and putting her on this show and featuring her on the show alongside Becky Lynch was a good thing. I enjoyed the fact that they talked about the relationship. I mentioned Jimmy and Naomi earlier. I like the dynamic of Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins. I like this a lot better. I like them in their current light a lot better than I liked them back in the day when they were doing the mixed tag and they were hugging and kissing on camera. Very corny. I think now they're doing it the right way. They're off camera. We all know that they're married. We all know they have a beautiful daughter, and they're doing their thing, but they're not being cheesy about it. And that was depicted during the Unreal documentary, as well as the fact that Seth Rollins became Money in the Bank and became World Heavyweight Champion with the rules that took place over CM Punk. Now that the old goo goo gaga's out the way, man, it's time to get down to business, man. And I want to tell you some things. That really, really pissed me off. Really pissed me off watching this documentary. And should piss off some others as well. I'm so sick and tired of the people who scream from the mountaintops how much they love WWE. I respect WWE. I'd be a fool to say anything other than WWE is the #1 brand in professional wrestling in the year 2026 and has been for quite some time. There's no argument about that. It would be foolish to argue anything but that. However, the hypocrisy that takes place under the umbrella of World Wrestling Entertainment and the hypocrisy of the fans and the so-called bloggers and YouTubers and streamers that continue to sing the praises of WWE without any kind of surcease, without any kind of repercussion for the things they do wrong, is completely hypocritical, and quite frankly, it's corny, and it makes me sick to my stomach, okay? I could name names. I named names on the podcast with Conrad. I probably name names again if I feel like it, but I'm not going to give any more power to these ridiculous YouTubers that come out and talk about how wonderful WWE is, how they continue to revolutionize the sport of professional wrestling. WWE does not revolutionize the sport of professional wrestling. WWE exploits professional wrestling. And that's why WWE is not, in my opinion, professional wrestling. WWE is an entertainment company. And yes, it's called World Wrestling Entertainment. But as much as the entertainment part is part of the name, so is wrestling. And so should it be highlighted in a manner that is just for the wrestling fans. Not the case, however. Now, when you talk about the WWE and you talk about this Unreal documentary, yes, there are some wonderful things that are depicted. The Naomi situation was very nice. The situation talking about Lyra Valkyria was very nice. I appreciate the highlight on Seth Rollins and his relationship with Becky Lynch. I appreciate Becky Lynch's tutelage of Lyra Valkyria. I appreciate the fact that even though Lyra Valkyria was very upset with herself about the SummerSlam match, that Becky Lynch encouraged Lyra Valkyria. I like the fact that John Cena took time to encourage Lyra Valkyria. But at the end of the day, when you look at these knuckleheads, and that's me being very, very kind, that sit in this room and try and come up with concepts that they alone feel are conducive to a good professional wrestling show, it is so off base, it is comical. It is comical to think that these people can sit in a room and come up with concepts they believe to be entertaining, and yet we as fans, we as realistic fans that don't suck up to WWE just to be featured on a preview or on an episode of Unreal like some of them were, and some of them are legit, but some of them are straight suck-ups that are just trying to get put on and will do anything and say anything to be put on. I'm not like that. Either I'm going to get put on for being myself, or I'm not going to get put on at all, because one thing I'm not is a sellout. And the fact of the matter is, World Wrestling Entertainment is a corny product, and far be it from me to say anything other than the truth. WWE thought that this Unreal documentary, especially season 2, because I thought season 1 was a lot better, but they thought that this season 2 documentary was going to highlight how great WWE is. Unfortunately for them, in this humble man's opinion, it highlighted how bad they are. And let's get into it right now. Let's get into this situation right here with R-Truth. A man I have great respect for. However, forgive me if there's certain aspects of the interviews that I forgot, because I actually was throwing up a little bit while I was watching the show. But let me try and recall certain things about what they talked about regarding R-Truth killings. First of all, Road Dogg Jesse James talked about how he and R-Truth were really good friends, and they probably were, from way back in the day, from they wrestled together in TNA, the independent circuit, what have you. R-Truth talked about how he was about to quit the business when Road Dogg Jesse James kind of took him under his wing. We all know the story of how he came back to WWE after the whole DX thing. Oh, you didn't know? You better ask somebody. The DOWG and K quit getting rowdy. We're getting rowdy. About to move some things. As corny as that was. But I'm happy the brother got an opportunity. But let's call a spade, okay, guys? This is where I separate myself from all other podcasters, all other YouTubers on the face of this earth, with the exception probably of my good friend Conrad Cushman. WWE, let's call a spade, and chat, let me know if I'm wrong. WWE used R-Truth as much as they wanted to, and when they were done with him, they tossed him aside. That's the reality of the situation. There is no fluff. There is no shebang. There is no extra sauce. The fact of the matter is, WWE said, thanks, R-Truth, for over 20 years of good service. We're done with you. We're done with you. Thanks for the memories, Ron. We appreciate you. But it's over. That's what happened. That's what happened. WWE used Ron Killings for all the little jimmies and all running up the ladders when it wasn't really a ladder match at the Royal Rumble, for talking about throwing Paul Heyman over the top rope when he was really supposed to be talking about Brock Lesnar, for Kane saying, you're not even in the match, for all that stuff, for all the sacrifices that this former NWA heavyweight champion of the world, Ron Killings, made for WWE and to feed his own family. No argument there. But for all the sacrifices he made, they let him go. Now, some people might say his contract lapsed. Some people say he got fired. Well, let me tell you how Sean Hubbard analyzes this situation. Let's just say, for argument's sake, that his contract did run out. Let's say Triple H is telling the truth for once. All right. Let me ask you a question. If Roman Reigns' contract was running out, would they have let it? If Randy Orton's contract was running out, would they have let it? If the Usos' contract, if Sheamus' contract, if Drew McIntyre's contract, even though they let him go too, if it was running out, would they have let it if they really wanted to keep him? So the fact that R-Truth, to his credit, called out WWE, called out Triple H by tweeting that WWE had let him go. After calling out that WWE let him go, WWE, of course, had to try to spin it, maneuver it, twist it, and say, no. We didn't fire him. His contract expired. If you wanted to renew his contract, you would have renewed his contract. If you wanted to make sure that he never went away, then you would have taken care of business before his contract came up. You didn't care that his contract came up because you were ready to let him walk out the door. That's the facts. And the fact of the matter is, if that's the business decision that you want to make, as heartless and as cold and as ridiculous as it may be, at least be a man and stand on it. That's my issue. If you want to say that his contract lapsed and we did not choose to renew R-Truth's contract because we felt it was in the best interest of World Wrestling Entertainment to let him go, then I would have to respect that. I don't have to like it, but I can respect it because you made a decision and you stood on it like a man. But that's not what Triple H did. Triple H made an excuse. Oh, well, we didn't fire him. We just, the contract expired because we were so on such two different pages when it came to compensation that we couldn't figure out what we wanted to do. And by the time we figured it out, it was too late. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? A multi-billion-dollar corporation, Triple H running that multi-billion-dollar corporation. Don't know how much Triple H makes, but he's a millionaire. He's a millionaire and being paid to run this multi-billion with a B dollar corporation. And you're telling me to think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Think about this. And I appreciate you guys being with me on a Friday night. We only got 30 minutes before SmackDown. I'm going to try and get you guys out of here in time. You're going to look me in my face as a grown man with a brain, or for the ladies out there, a grown woman with a brain. You're going to look me in my face and say, we just couldn't figure it out in time. By the time we tried to figure it out, it was too late. What? You really must think we're stupid. No, that's not what happened. You decided that after you used this man and used this man and used this man until you used him up, in your mind used him up, that you were going to just let him go away because you didn't need him anymore. You did not want him anymore, and you decided to take the cheap punk way out by blaming it on the contract lapsing. Reality check, stupid. When you let a contract expire on purpose, it's essentially firing someone. It's the same thing, even though technically you didn't terminate the guy, but you made a decision not to renew the contract, which is essentially the same thing. But I'm going to be a dummy and, he didn't get fired. Who do you think you're talking to? I'm not one of these WWE minions that say WWE's the best. I love WWE. They're so wonderful. No. I'm going to call you out on your bullcrap and tell you the truth. You're a liar. You lied. And you tried to spin it to make it seem like it was a contract dispute when bottom line was you just didn't want to bring him back. You were done with him after using him for years and years as he sung and danced and talked to little Jimmy for years for your benefit. You decided that's enough. He's helped us get to this level. Let's just kick him to the curb and we'll just say his contract expired. Please. Let's go back to the chat. Let me know what you think about my commentary, man. I want to let y'all know. Listen, this is an open forum. Let's talk about it. Shout out to Clown. He says, Becky gave her good advice. Talking about Lyra about Valkyria. Gave good advice. That attitude, you'll go far, but it's going to be terrible for you and your mental health. Yes, talking about beating herself up. I agree with you. Guy will gamble in the building. Welcome, man. He says, yeah, what's good, Hubs? This season kind of felt like they turned Unreal into kayfabe machine and they tried. And I'm tired of seeing Triple H, especially when he questioned R-Truth cutting his hair in an ignorant way. Right on the money. Guy Will Gamble goes on to say, he continued his comment. Oh, M. Leezy says, a bunch of clowns in the writer creative room. You ain't telling no lie, brother. Guy Will Gamble continues to say, shout out to Road Dogg for sticking up for people that deserve a fair shake. Fair enough. I'll give Road Dogg that. That's true. He's Dark Elite Eric says, leave Rowdy alone. Y'all know that. You know that was crap, but it's okay. At least he had a job, so I'll give him that. M. Leezy says pretty much they used R-Truth and then threw him away, and that's because of quote-unquote business. That's exactly right. Dark Elite Eric having fun with little Jimmy. In fact, listen, Dark Elite Eric, for all the great things you said, funny things you said, you hit the nail right on the head. Why would Triple H start being honest now? Good question. You're 100% right. Clown says, if they paid me that money, I'd act a fool. They say in the episode he was informed they would not renew his contract. He took that as if he was fired, but they still plan to pay him for a few more months. Yeah, allegedly. See, there's too much hypocrisy in everything that Triple H and the WWE has said that I can't believe that. Because to me, R-Truth tweeting out that he was let go, if somebody can find the tweet or remind me of the exact quote, let me know. But if him tweeting essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, that he was let go, that implies, correct me if I'm wrong, that R-Truth was blindsided. And all of his colleagues who spoke out on his behalf on Twitter, the Baileys, the New Days, the Usos, the whoever's, the Rhea Ripleys, they were certainly blindsided. Guy Will Gamble says, even if they said we didn't think it was worth renewing his contract, but we found out we were wrong, I could have respected that. Exactly. You know what? Thank you, Guy Will Gamble. You know what? We didn't think R-Truth was on a level of we felt like he was expendable. But you know what, man, when we want truth, those chants came out. We were wrong. But they would never admit they're wrong. M. Leezy says, and R-Truth is still saying on interviews as of this week that he was fired in Triple H's line. Exactly. Thank you, M. Leezy. And you're going to tell me, Clown, shout out to Clown too, no disrespect, but you're going to tell me that you're going to believe Triple H over R-Truth? What is it going to benefit R-Truth to lie about this? R-Truth is telling us even now. Thank you, M. Leezy, for this. R-Truth is telling us even now. He got fired. And you know what? Call me whatever you want to call me. I'm a Triple H hater, WWE hater. I choose to believe R-Truth. That's my prerogative. That's what I'm doing. Guy Will Gamble says they spun it to make it look like Ron wasn't telling the truth about being let go. They sure did. They spun a lot of things. They spun the Naomi and Sasha Banks thing too. Thank you for this, M. Leezy. R-Truth tweeted, and I quote, I'm sorry to inform you all I have been released from WWE, end quote. So you're telling me, thank you, M. Leezy, I appreciate this, on top of your game as usual. So you're telling me that R-Truth went that far to write that tweet, and that was false? That he was previously informed? Think about this, guys. R-Truth, I'm going to bring up M. Leezy's comment one more time with the tweet. R-Truth tweeted, quote, "I'm sorry to inform you all, I have been released from WWE," end quote. So R-Truth went out of his way to write that tweet for the world to see. And the truth is, air quote, the truth is Triple H and the WWE board of directors or people who were in charge called R-Truth, talked to R-Truth and said, "Hey, Ron, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to renew your contract," months in advance. And then R-Truth, knowing that they were going to let him go months in advance, decided to lie and put out a tweet that he got fired or released. I don't believe that one bit. I don't believe that one bit. Miracle says, "I can't take this Unreal show seriously. I'm old school. I wish R-Truth had serious push with the world title." I don't know about the world title, but he certainly deserved the push, and he got nothing but a haircut. Easy E, Dark Elite Eric says, "Good pull, Matt. 100% on top of his game as usual. Matt, we appreciate you." So if you thought that was bad, I'm going to get into something else. Because, yes, I already told you, I like the Lyra Valkyria feature. I like the Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins feature. I like the fact that they talked to CM Punk about CM Punk getting screwed, about the fake leg injury at Saturday Night's Main Event going into SummerSlam. But, you know, I'm not going to focus on that. Because for the little bit I liked, the R-Truth thing pissed me off. And you want to know what else pissed me off? This pissed me off. And I'm pulling it up right here and right now so you guys can see this face. That is LA Knight. That is arguably one of the hottest wrestlers in the industry today. And I'm going on record right here and now, for as much as I screamed from the rooftops that Jey Uso deserved a world championship in 2025, I'm going to keep it a stack with y'all and tell you, so does LA Knight. What in God's name? Now, anybody who saw this scene, anyone who saw this scene knows what I'm about to talk about. For those that didn't, I'm going to break it down for you guys, and you tell me what you think. Now, the event is Money in the Bank. Excuse me. 2025. The wheels are being put in motion for Seth Rollins to win the Money in the Bank, which he eventually did. I have no problem with that. I like the story of Seth Rollins winning Money in the Bank. I would have liked the story of LA Knight winning Money in the Bank. However, that's the route they took. I'm not going to get mad and nitpick and go crazy about Seth Rollins winning the Money in the Bank because I like Seth Rollins. However, at the end of the match, according to Unreal and the behind-the-scenes footage, LA Knight, and shout out to Chris Parks, Abyss from TNA, who's one of the producers backstage. Very nice guy who, to me, gets talked to. That was one thing I hated about Unreal 1, Season 1. Bruce Pritchard talking to this guy like he's a scrub. Like, I wanted Parks to punch him in the face. Like, who do you think you are talking to me like that? But I digress. So the producer of the match booked the match, and I want you guys to pay close attention to this. He booked the match for Seth and LA Knight to have a spot at the end of the match where they are fighting at the top of the Money in the Bank ladder. And at the end of the match, it was going to be a toss-up about who was going to win. And it was supposed to be very climactic that they fought at the top of the ladder. That was supposed to be the ending of the match, where they fought. They were rung by rung, top of the, similar to, for all you old school guys, similar to Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon, SummerSlam, 1995. Look it up. For whatever reason, LA Knight stayed on the ground in the ring. He pulled Seth Rollins off the ladder. They did the spot that they were supposed to do on top of the ladder, on the mat, ended up getting stomped, and then Seth Rollins climbed the ladder and retrieved the briefcase. Triple H, when LA Knight comes back to the locker room or to the gorilla position, sits LA Knight down and says, "What happened out there? It was a great match, but what happened out there?" You can see the man's face. This was the face that he had the entire time Triple H is talking to him. And Triple H had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to tell LA Knight, "Man, that spot that was supposed to happen where you and Seth were supposed to fight at the top of the ladder, that was supposed to be about you, man. That was your moment. It was supposed to be you and Seth fighting at the top of the cage. That was supposed to be your moment, man. You missed it. Great match, but you missed it. That was supposed to be your moment." How was that supposed to be his moment? How was LA Knight and Seth Rollins fighting at the top of the ladder, Seth Rollins getting the upper hand, and the same way he won the match, he would still win the match instead of hitting him with the stomp on the floor, or he kicked him in the face or something on the ladder. How in God's name would that have been LA Knight's moment? Now, I don't know how LA Knight felt about what was being said to him, but he certainly didn't look happy. Now, my question to you, ladies and gentlemen, did LA Knight look unhappy because he was disappointed in himself that he didn't do the spot at the top of the ladder as was originally planned? Or did LA Knight look the way he looked because he was being insulted, his intelligence being insulted by Triple H telling him that him losing the match was supposed to be his moment? When the whole world knows that LA Knight should have been world champion 6 months ago. You use him for the Seth Rollins angle. You use him for the CM Punk and Jey Uso stuff. And again, not being a hypocrite, love Jey Uso, that's my dog. But right is right and wrong is wrong. He's in multiple world championship main events, Saturday night's main event, Raw, all this stuff. And you're going to tell that man who is clamoring for an opportunity to be somebody in WWE that him missing his spot, and I admit, he did miss the spot because Chris Parks did construct him to go up the ladder and face to face with Seth Rollins. But Triple H says to this grown man's face that he missed his moment, that moment where he would have lost to Seth Rollins anyway, that he missed his moment. That was LA Knight's moment. Let's go to the chat. Because honestly, even as I've been preparing for this show for about a week now, and I still can't wrap my head around this bullcrap. Somebody in the chat, please let me know how Seth Rollins and LA Knight fighting at the top of the cage and LA Knight still losing the match would have been LA Knight's moment. Somebody explain that to me. That's all I can say. M. Leezy Facility says, hey, Triple H, you know how it would have been LA Knight's moment? How about you let him win? Exactly. Easy E says, LA Knight shouldn't resign. He'd be better in AEW as Don Callis' 18th boy. I was with you until you when you said he shouldn't resign. I agree, but now you took it somewhere else. Easy. I appreciate you, brother. Clown says it would have been his moment because the crowd would have roared every time he came close, and ultimately when he fell, the crowd would have booed even louder. Oh, Clown, I hear you, dog, but oh my goodness, I hear you. I guess. I don't agree. I think it's silly. Guy Will Gamble says LA Knight going up the ladder with his back facing the camera would have done nothing. And by the way, big shout out to Guy Will Gamble because that is exactly how the scene set up. Because LA Knight's back would have been to the camera. Great pickup by the homie Guy Will Gamble. He says LA Knight would have going up the ladder with his back facing the camera would have done nothing for him. Nobody's going to win that match with their back to the camera. That's ridiculous. Amen. And we all know WWE is all about production, all about the show. So a great pickup, similar to the great pickup from M. Leezy earlier. Great pickup, Guy Will Gamble. That's exactly right. And further illustrates my point that what Triple H said was a bunch of garbage. M. Leezy goes on to say he was being insulted while a camera is recording, knowing millions will see that this was the face he being defeated. Exactly, because even though Unreal is supposed to be the behind the scenes, do you think that? Let me go back again. Do you think that LA Knight wants this face to be his lasting image? Because you know how many memes are going to come out about that? Look at this man's face. He's disgusted. By the way, Triple H is speaking to him. I think that's either a fan or a computer screen right there, guys. Triple H is in his ear speaking to him right there. Right there. You can't see him, but he's speaking to Triple H. He's not even looking Triple H in the face. He's so disgusted. Not even looking Triple H in the face. It's comedy, bro. It's straight up comedy. I mean, you can't even. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to even insinuate something like this. Guy Will Gamble says maybe I'm being a smart, but or Mark or whatever, but it would have been obvious Knight wasn't winning in that spot with the way the ladder was facing. That wouldn't have been his moment, quote unquote, his moment. Exactly, man. Exactly right. Guy Will Gamble goes on to say, unless it was supposed to be dumb babyface syndrome moment. Yeah, I guess that part too. Dark Elite Eric says, they be gaslighting you in wrestling, D. That's a fact. Triple H showed us gaslight. My God, man. Guy Will Gamble says, facts, Eric, 100%. Dark Elite Eric goes on to say, remember how they told Punk he was one of, excuse me, let me rephrase. I apologize. He says, remember how they told Punk he was one of like 4 main events at Mania? That's a slap in the face. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're in the main event. You're like the 4th match, but you're in the main event. Like, good point, Easy. Good point, E. E goes on to say, I see why Punk was going nuts, plus add Gomez and Patterson in the mix. Oh, God. Like, don't get me started. Gamble says, Punk was in the 4th main event, but he sure wasn't paid main event money. That's a fact. Guy Will Gamble also says that that face says, yeah, as in like, yeah, you're full of crap. Exactly. And Guy Will Gamble said, Easy Eric Elite says to Guy Will Gamble, yeah, it's all the same, pal, in quotes. Like, if he was talking like he was Gomez. Listen, man, I'm going to let y'all go, man. Listen, all I got to say is this. Before I let y'all go, do me a favor, scale of 1 to 10 between either if you watched Unreal Season 2 or you're just going strictly by the information that I've given you tonight, and then you can go watch it yourself. Do me a favor, everybody. Give me on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being terrible, 10 being great. How would you rate Unreal Season 2? Again, if you saw it, you can rate it for yourself. If you haven't seen it, you can rate it according to what I've told you, and then maybe you can come back later after you watch it yourself. Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being awful, 10 being great. How would you rate Unreal? Because to me, it was a 2. It was a 2. I like the Lyra, but man, I'll say 3. I'll say 3. I like the Lyra Valkyria stuff. I love the Naomi and Jimmy stuff. And I like the Seth Rollins and Bailey stuff. Other than that, hot garbage, bro. Hot garbage. Guy Will Gamble, I appreciate you, man. He says season 1 was a 7 in my opinion. That's a fact, bro. I like season 1. I'm not going to hate. Season 1 was pretty good. So Guy Will Gamble gives season 1 a 7 and season 2 a 4.5. Yeah, I mean, that's not bad. That's not bad. Clown is going according to what he just heard tonight. I encourage you to watch it for yourself, my friend. He says everything I heard, I'd say 2.5. If you watch Unreal season 2 and you give it anything more than a 2.5 after you watch it for yourself, I want me and you to talk so we can work this thing out together. But I really appreciate it. Shout out to Miracle. He says, off of what you told me tonight, I would say 2. Miracle, I appreciate you. Watch it for yourself. Come back and holler at me, whether it's on the Clash or in my DMs or whatever, and tell me what you think. But I don't think when you watch it, it's going to be anything more than a 2. Because I promise you, as much as WWE gets on my nerves, I give credit where credit is due. So if it was dope, I would say it was dope. Season 1 was dope. Season 1 was like a 7 for me. So I'm keeping it 100. I'm keeping it 100. So at the end of the day, I want to thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all so much. I think I'm getting you out of here on time. With 5 minutes to spare, SmackDown is up next. Make sure y'all watch Saturday Night's Main Event. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to do some content for Saturday Night's Main Event. Not 100% sure. But this is the first HUBBanomics in a long time. The wrist is healing up, thank God. Still in a lot of pain, but I'm in a lot less pain. That's why I'm back on Clash on Mondays and back on HUBBanomics tonight. I appreciate y'all very much. God bless. Listen, make sure you check out Clash of the Podcast each and every Monday night, 6:05 Eastern Standard Time with myself and Conrad Cushman. Miracle, I got you right now, my brother. Look me up on IG. My IG, I appreciate you, my guy. I'm going to do it right now. Make sure I look it up to make sure I don't mess it up. My IG. Oh, I'm bugging right now. It's the same thing. HW Weekly on IG. So HW Weekly. Now it sits up here, HUBW Weekly, but on Instagram, it's HW Weekly, HWWEEKLY, my brother. Holla at me. I'll be sure to follow you back as well. God Will Gamble, I see you. Miracle, I see you. Clown, thank you. Sir Quills, thank you. Elite Eric, thank you. Jocelyn, thank you. I appreciate y'all, man, very, very, very much. Emily Fashizi, of course, thank you so much for being here tonight. Clown, I said Clown already, but shout out to Clown once again. Shout out to God Will Gamble once again. Shout out to Joe Compton in the building. I appreciate you, man. Y'all have been awesome as usual. Appreciate y'all. Get with y'all the next time. Enjoy this weekend of wrestling. Remember, for the UFC fans, UFC free UFC 324 as part of the Paramount subscription. They should be paying me for these plugs. Let me shut up, man. Anyway, God bless. Be encouraged. Evil never prevails. You already know what it is, man. It's HUBBanomics. God bless. Later.